Adults are wrong. Kids are right. When it comes to nervous system regulation, watch a child. Watch how they move their body. They keep it weird. They have not yet learned how to be programmed into a robot. Ever seen a child with pent-up energy that they need to release? Have you ever seen a child just stand in line? Children know, their bodies just know how to move and release energy. And then we tell them, no, stop, don't do that, sit down, sit up straight. An adult who's angry has so much dis-ease in their body, you can visualize that stick up their booty hole. We have forgotten ourselves as we become adults, and we want everybody else to suffer with us. The best way back home is through movement. The best way back home is through your weirdness.
Hey, the answer is relax. As much as you can and as often as you can. Relaxation is a state to be in whether you're moving or you're still. And it doesn't take much to get there, but you gotta pause and pay attention. Because it's from that state where you'll be able to fully receive and enjoy what you desire. The undesired circumstances that you have faced, are facing, and will continue to face aren't meant to be feared or resisted. They are signs of personal growth. Signs of you attuning yourself to a bigger expression of yourself here. Give yourself permission to process not being relaxed. It's there to stop you from settling for superficial ways of showing up for yourself that keep you unrelaxed. So again, relax.
If you find that you are feeling morose, moody, depressed, or generally in a low energy state, here is a mental health tip from ancient Indian spirituality that might be of some service to you. So in Indian spirituality, across the board, you find a great emphasis on external purity, almost to a fault. So before the Indian spiritual practitioner does ritual worship, or before they meditate, or before they do anything spiritual at all, they're encouraged to take a bath, to wear freshly laundered clothes, to almost obsessively keep the ritual space, the space around the altar or the meditation space, what have you, to keep it clean and neat and orderly, etc. And in India, it can be quite jarring because you can step from the squalor and the hustle and bustle of the urban streets into a temple, and you'd be struck by the difference, the purity and sanctity of the temple. It immediately has this uplifting effect. The priests are always taking baths and they're always cleaning up around the altar, etc., etc. This emphasis on external purity, according to Indian spirituality, creates this internal purity. So when your surroundings are clean and pure, when you're practicing in freshly laundered clothes after a shower, maybe early in the morning, there's a sort of internal effect. What we call this sattva. The mind becomes very sattvic and therefore very joyful, peaceful, and tranquil. So if you find that you're struggling with moodiness and depression, the simple fix might just be to make sure there are no dishes in the sink, to make sure your home is clean and beautiful, to make sure that you're waking up early in the morning before the dawn and practicing, after a bath and what have you. In India, sometimes they take 3 baths a day, a bath in the morning before the morning practice, a bath at the noontime before the noon practice, and a bath at dusk before the dusk practice. So this kind of obsessive showering and this very, very obsessive cleanliness, I think it does go a long way. Obviously, it can go too far. It can become puritanism, and it can really demean one's life and spiritual practice if it's taken to its extreme. But I think, generally speaking, Indian spirituality in its antiquity is really onto something here when they stress external purity. So see to it that your surroundings are clean, and you might find that your internal environment blazes forth with a tranquility, a peace, and a joy, unlike anything other.
Why couldn't European colonizers recognize the indigenous food forest systems they were finding around the world?
I love that video and that whole conversation so much because it's a reminder that a lot of the things that we just accept as normal ways of doing things or of being quote unquote productive are actually colonial concepts. The creator is saying that European colonizers did not recognize native gardens and farmlands because to them it looked like wild, untended land. Additionally, the indigenous ways of farming and gardening were a lot less labor intensive, a lot more efficient, took a lot less time than the European or Western ways of doing things. And I have an example of this in Cameroon history. In this book, which I will include the title in the caption, we have some excerpts from the diary of Joseph Merrick, who was the first missionary to set up his mission in what is present-day Cameroon. And we have some excerpts from his diary of when he first arrived in Cameroon and began traveling through the coastal southwest villages and up the mountain, and his observations of the native people as he was trying to, minister to them, spread the gospel, his observations of their way of life, of farming, of hunting. He speaks very disparagingly about the native people, and it should not be a surprise, right? For a missionary in that time, clearly they felt that they were superior to the native people. I can make several videos about Joseph Merrick. He's quite a character, but one of the things that he observes is the native farms. And to him, just like the creator that I stitched was saying, to him, the native people's farms looked unkempt, they looked untended, and he assumed that they were lazy. This is what he said in one excerpt of his diary. Before visiting the interior, I thought the people spent a great deal of their time in agricultural pursuits, but was surprised during my journey to see so few farms and those so much neglected. So according to him, the farms that he saw were neglected. All the plantain farms I saw were covered with grass and bush. Like those on the coast, the people in the country live a life of almost absolute idleness. So here he is, basically again calling the native people lazy and idle because one, their farms don't look like what he expects farms to look like, and they don't spend as much time working as what he, assumes that they should be according to his own Western standards of productivity. He even goes on in another part further down to say, may they soon come under the influence of the gospel, which so strongly condemns idleness and inculcates the necessity of industrious habits. So again, this idea that the native people are lazy, they're idle, they're not industrious, they're not productive, and that's all the more reason why he thinks he should be spreading the gospel to them, because by learning the gospel, they will learn the virtues of being productive. It's really, really interesting to me as I'm learning more about colonialism, about history, because I'd heard people talking about this concept of white supremacy being tied to capitalism, being tied to Christianity, and I never really understood it, but that's a really good example of how all of those things tie together.
And this whole thing about protein, you're eating animals for protein, but that very same animal get its protein from plants. You're telling me that you can't use your common sense to figure that out? Where does the animal get the protein from? So why don't you go and get your protein from the plants as well? Why are you trying to get it from a second source? Your body is made up of what? Minerals, not proteins. Your body is made up of minerals, not proteins. This should be common sense. What is your bones made up of? Isn't your bones made up of calcium? Isn't calcium a mineral? Isn't your blood made up of iron? Is your bones made up of calcium or protein? These are the people who went to school. You see what I'm talking about, school? School literally takes away people's ability to express independent thought. They literally come out more dumber. They just believe that they're smart because they got their name on a piece of paper called a degree, but can't think for themselves. Your body is made up of minerals, not proteins. When you eat natural foods, what do you get? Phytonutrients and the minerals. Why are you so worried about protein? Because them niggas program that into your brain. Notice, everything is about protein. Or somebody see you, oh bro, where do you get your protein from? The same place where the animal that you ate got the protein from. Duh, isn't plants the source of protein? So why are you worried about protein? Eat the plants that the creator designed for you to eat. Simple. I don't see the elephant worrying about no fucking protein. I don't see the rhino worrying about no protein. I don't see the deers worrying about no protein. I don't see the cows worrying about no protein. I don't see the gorilla worrying about no protein. Only you worried about protein because you went to school.
Did you know you've basically been brushing your teeth with shampoo? Well, not exactly. There's an ingredient in toothpaste that's also found in shampoo. This ingredient is sodium lauryl sulfate. And its only purpose in toothpaste, just like in shampoo, is to lather and foam up. Commercial toothpaste companies claim that SLS is safe, but thanks to this one ingredient, many people experience canker sores and irritation when using commercial toothpaste. Big brands like to use this ingredient in their toothpaste, but it's for aesthetic reasons only, and it's just not necessary. I won't speak on which brands these are, but I will say it's not cold to gatekeep, and you need more than aqua to keep your mouth fresh. This is one of the many reasons why I decided to start making my own toothpaste, where I can control what's in it. Keeps your teeth clean and free of fluoride, and SLS is the best natural alternative to your everyday essential.
Hey friends, let's make another batch of my all-natural toothpaste. So on a double boiler, I start off by melting my coconut oil and a few mint leaves. This is the coconut oil I used, and I just melted it down really good. Make sure your boiler is not too hot, because you just need it to melt. Now remove your mint leaves, and this is the secret ingredient, Indian healing clay. Yes, that powdery clay that you put on your face, we're putting it in there. Bentonite clay has so many good properties. It helps neutralize the bacteria and pH in your mouth, and it helps remove plaque from your teeth. Next, we're going to add ground cloves. There's an endless amount of benefits that clove offers. It helps fight bad breath, helps strengthen sore gums, fights oral infections and cavities. The list goes on and on. Next, we're going to add baking soda. Baking soda helps with tooth decay and remineralizing your enamel. It also has natural whitening properties. So I am going to add a little bit more peppermint oil because I like mine extra minty. On top of putting the mint leaves, this just adds a little more flavor, just so you don't feel like you're brushing your teeth with dirt. And then I just transfer mine to these little plastic containers that I ordered on Amazon. You can put this in the fridge if you want a harder paste, or you can leave it out if you want a softer paste. Stop buying the store-bought stuff, switch to the natural. 5 ingredients, you can't beat that. Make the switch now. God bless.
Going natural is the new thing. Let's make some DIY natural deodorant using unrefined coconut oil. And the first thing I used was 1 cup of unmelted coconut oil. Next, I added 2 quarter cups of cornstarch, but I added them in gradually. Why? Because you'll make a mess just like this. So it is best to add them in one by one and then stir right after. Now, using a big spoon like this, it was kind of hard, so I switched over to a smaller spoon. I continued to stir until I blended up all of the powders, and also until it started looking like a mashed potato. And this is what it looks like. Now, I can't forget the baking soda. I added about 1 tablespoon, and then I mixed it in right after. Now, to finish up, I added my essential oils, which was coconut and Hawaiian ginger. Why? Because they smell amazing blended together. I then blended the essential oils in, but not too much because it'll start melting. And last but not least, I gave it one more good stir with my big spoon. Now it's time to place into my mason jar. And this is a 8-ounce size jar. These measurements will fill this jar to the top, and you will not have to worry about deodorant for about 2 months. Here's a little FYI. Store it in a cool place. Make sure you keep the lid on after each usage. And now you have some deodorant.
Healthier foods. Go to Whole Foods, buy 5 different kinds of fermented vegetables. Just make sure they're not pasteurized, because pasteurization kills bacteria. That you want the fermented vegetables, because when vegetables ferment, they make the bacteria that are the families in your gut. We've got thousands and thousands of families in your gut, and it doesn't matter how much of one particular family you've got. What matters is how balanced are all the families. Is it a community? And is your gut in a community working together? So you walk by your refrigerator every day, just take 1 forkful of one of the fermented vegetables, just one of them, and every day switch them out. So they've got sauerkraut, kimchi, curry flavored, Italian flavored. Just get a bunch of them, and you take 1 forkful a day, because every vegetable that ferments is producing different families of good bacteria for you. So you're inoculating every day. That's the first thing you do. The second thing is go online, go to Google, and type in list of prebiotic foods. And every day you make sure to have at least 2 prebiotic foods, not probiotic, prebiotic. Because the prebiotic foods feed the good bacteria in your gut. They won't feed the bad bacteria. They feed the good bacteria in your gut. So you're inoculating every day with a little bit of good bacteria. You're varying it, so you're not getting a dominance of one. You're varying it every day, and then every day you're feeding it with some of the good bacteria. And you change it out. Every week you change it out. A good family of prebiotics include the root vegetables such as sweet potatoes and yams. Chinese yams are excellent for you. For many, you want to lose weight? Eat Chinese yams. Just read the science. It's really clear because the Chinese yams and bitter melon, those two together feed good bacteria in the gut that help you lose weight.
Welcome to part 2. So I'm going to give you books to read to be able to make sense of all of this. So with your cereals, check out the book called Grain Brain. And that is also including your potato chips and your cookies. Check out the book called Grain Brain, The Mind-Gut Connection, and The Microbiome Diet. There's a lot of jokes in the world about high fructose corn syrup, but the taste that kills. Those books should bring you up to speed on why this says 1 net carb, has a bunch of ingredients in it, and this has 7 net carbs, plus dietary fiber. And by the way, the math right here is total grams of dietary fiber minus by carbohydrates. That's why you see total sugars 4. So 7 minus 3 equals 4, in case you're ever wondering how dietary fiber breaks down. And then a reminder how not to die or how not to diet. You're going to see that these are chilled section bars versus non-chilled section bar. When it comes to your Doritos, there's literally an entire book called The Dorito Effect. Now these 2 books here are really fun. So you're going to read An Elegant Defense and then An Inflamed Mind. So as you can see in these, it's just sugars and oils. Overarching majority choices for foods, you're going to check out The Telomere Effect. So like unfortunately, born in a poor environment, therefore the outcome of my life is going to be less than yours. And a really, really good book is called Sicker, Fatter, and Poorer, which explains the entire grocery store almost. Do you remember eating these as a kid and these as a kid? So a really good book here might be outside of the loop, but Adult Children of Emotionally Immature Parents. Now when it comes down to your plants, you're going to see both arguments for this, but check out The Plant Paradox. When it comes to caffeine, you're going to read the book Caffeine, and that's Michael Pollan, really short one. And then also Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker. And then a really useful one for a lot of people that may have bad habits that want to learn to override those is the 5-second rule by Mel Robbins. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We don't drink this ever again. This one's going to sound weird, but The Belief of Biology by Bruce Lipton. By simply saying to this food, may I please eat you, the anxiety response goes away, which is also in reality unveiled by Zihad Mazari when they try to burn a plant, and it's on a polygraph machine, and the plant says, And then when you're rolling around your oils, longevity paradox. CDC.gov research, check out resveratrol, and you're going to learn about your red wines. And then here's just some fun facts I've learned from all of those books. Real estate space, really crappy, useless ingredients. Same notation here. Same notation here. And then when you start to look at like kind of marketing, like football's around, so they put those here. You'll notice the Flamin' Hot is like actually almost nearly everywhere and everything. These people, they're supporting these foods because, well, look at your favorite character that doesn't eat those. Most of these are going to be better than a soda, but anything that says natural flavor, I avoid. So if you're looking to conquer depression, start off with the 50 brain cell challenge and you know where to find it.